All right, welcome everyone. I'm Gina, and today we're going to do some gentle movements, some meditation, and a little bit of breath work. So we'll start by coming into a really comfortable seat, whether it's on the mat, on the floor, on a chair, in the bed, whatever it is, and maybe wiggle a little bit just to get your hips kind of in the chair. Maybe do some hip circles if that feels good, and really feel what is supporting you and where do you feel supported. And when you're doing some hip circles, do you going one direction and then going the other direction is nice. And when you feel like you're ready to slowly spiral into a nice tall seat, you can find that equilibrium so that you feel balanced left and right, and so that you feel balanced forward and back. And sometimes the best way to find out, am I really balanced, is to kind of deliberately make yourself off balance and then come back to where you feel like your head is above your spine, is above your hips, so that the bones can do all of the heavy lifting and you're not reliant on the muscles, which can get more tired if you're putting extra strain on them. So tucking the chin, closing the eyes if it feels good, or lowering the gaze, finding a drishti, a little point of focus. We're gonna just notice what's going on in your head today. Sometimes our minds are quiet, and other times they're very, very busy. So we often use the breath as an object of meditation, but we can also use the thoughts themselves. And so the trick here is to see the thoughts when they arise, acknowledge them without judgment, because the thoughts pop into everybody's head. It's no big deal. But the trick is to not follow the thought. So sometimes a thought pops in and we want to chase the thought. And we want to think about the thought. And the challenge here is to acknowledge the thought has arisen and to say, I'm going to think about you later. And to come back to the stillness, to come back to the groundedness of your feet on the floor, of your bum in the chair. And just wait. And maybe no thought arises. And if one comes, let it go like a paper boat floating down a stream. Acknowledge it, watch it, and let it float away. Or like a cloud passing in the sky. You see it, it's there, but you can't grasp it. You don't hold it tightly. You just let it do its thing. Sometimes there's a misconception that we need to have an empty mind to successfully be mindful or to successfully meditate. And we don't. The thoughts will come, and that's okay. We just need to have a way to let go of our grasp on the thoughts so that they don't distract us from being calm and being still. I invite you to pay attention to your breath. See where it is most manifesting in your body. Some common areas are on the upper lip. As you breathe in, you can feel the air coming in through the sinuses. Or another common place is the chest. So maybe you feel the chest rising on every inhale and sinking on every exhale. And I'll invite you to get the belly involved. Again, we don't have to be breathing really big breaths or really super deep breaths, but engaging the diaphragm really helps with calming the nervous system. So see if you can feel the belly rise on the inhale and sink on the exhale. If you'd like to set an intention, now is a good time to do so. What is it that you want more of in your life? And it's nice to state our intentions in the present tense as if they've already happened. I am a patient, loving human. I am gentle with myself and others. I take as much time as I need. Whatever it is that you are cultivating, send it out into the universe. Let the universe conspire to help make it so. I'm going to do a Constellation body scan today. And so you might be familiar with the body scan technique where we'll gently rest the attention on different parts of the body. And if it feels good to you, imagine that each part of the body that is mentioned has like a little fairy light or Christmas light, some glowing bit emanating from it, which is kind of a funny meditation to do today because I've got the sun kind of glittering all over me. And so as each part of the body lights up, you can imagine that this is a really healing light, that this is a really beneficial light. It can be whatever color comes to you. I'll leave that up to you. But we'll start with the inside of the brain, actually. So imagine a spot between the eyes and the forehead, but in the middle of the head. And let that part of your brain light up. And then move the attention to the right cheekbone. And then the left cheekbone. And the space between the nose and the upper lip. Let the chin light up. Let the right ear be illuminated and the left ear. And then pay attention to all of those spaces and light them all up. The middle of your brain, both cheekbones, both ears, above the upper lip and the chin. And then let those go. And pay attention to the center of your throat. And put a light on your right shoulder, your right elbow, your right wrist. Light up your right thumb, the index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, and the baby finger on the right hand. Light up the palm, back to the wrist, back to the elbow, up to the shoulder, the middle of the throat, and then working the way over to the left shoulder. Light up the left elbow and the left wrist, the left thumb, the index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, and the baby finger. Put a light in the palm of the hand, and then move the attention back to the wrist, back to the elbow, back to the shoulder, into the middle of the throat. And then illuminate all of the lights in both arms. The throat, the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, the palms of the hands, and all 10 fingers. Let that go. Come back to the throat and then down into the heart space. And down the sternum into the belly, right behind your belly button. And right below the belly button. And then into the coccyx of the root chakra. Light up the right hip and the right knee, the right ankle, the heel of the foot, the big toe, the second toe, the third toe, the fourth toe, and the baby toe. Back to the heel, to the ankle, to the knee, and to the right hip. Back to your root chakra, and then over to the left side. Light up your left hip, your left knee, your left ankle, and the left heel. The big toe on the left, the second toe, the third toe, the fourth toe, and the baby toe. Back to the heel, back to the ankle, back to the knee, back to the hip, back to the root chakra, and then light up both legs, both hips, both knees, both ankles, both heels, and all 10 toes. Add to it your second chakra, your heart center, your throat, both arms, and the head, so that you are lit up with beautiful lights like a constellation from the head down to both feet. Allow these lights to engulf you. They are friendly. They are bringing you what you need in this moment. And if it feels like a challenge to pay attention to all of them at once, maybe you move around the body a bit. Maybe it's easier to do part of the body and then another part of the body and then so on and so forth. That's okay too. Make it easy. Make it gentle. And as you breathe, imagine these lights getting more intense from the toes up to the head. And as you exhale from the head back down to the toes, breathing up the legs, breathing up the spine, breathing up into the head, and then exhaling down the spine into the legs, all the way into the toes. Following the breath, make it light, make it gentle. And then you can let go of the lights. If you like them and they want to stick around, great. And if you're done with them, that's okay too. We're going to come into an extended exhale. So inhaling through the nose and letting it all go very slowly out the mouth. We'll do 2 more like that. Inhaling through the nose and a long, slow exhale through the mouth. One more. Inhaling through the nose. And this time, hold the breath after the exhale. So once you're empty, hold the breath maybe 5-10 seconds until you feel that air hunger. And then slowly return back to whatever feels good, whatever breath pattern feels natural and normal in your body. You might like to tuck the chin to the chest and feel the stretch down the back of the neck, down the spine, into the hips. And from here, if you'd like to blink open your eyes, you can. If you want to keep them closed, that's okay too. We're going to do some very slow seated cat-cows. Very, very slowly tipping the pelvis, tipping the nose up towards the ceiling, putting a back bend in the spine. And very slowly coming back into cat pose, arching the spine, pressing into the tops of the knees or the tops of the thighs, tucking the chin to the chest. And using the breath here, inhaling into cow pose and exhaling into cat pose, really making the breaths long, extended, but never so long that you feel like you're gasping or that it's stressful or difficult. Move at the pace that feels good in your body, and that might be a little bit different pace to what I'm doing, and that's totally fine. We'll do a few more rounds like this. And again, if the thoughts come, treat them like the paper boats in the river or the clouds in the sky. Observe them, but don't follow them. We'll come back to a nice tall seat. Maybe you like to roll the shoulders a little bit. Again, nice and slow, inhaling up and exhaling down. Make it easy. Make it slower than is possible, maybe slower than you like. Inhaling and exhaling. We'll do one more in this direction. And then switch directions. Again, inhaling and exhaling. Make it slow. Feel into those shoulders. And then maybe we move into the neck. Inhaling to drop the ear to one side. And exhaling back to center. And inhaling, dropping the ear to the other side. And exhaling back to center. And if that pace doesn't work, feel free to do an in-breath and an out-breath in each position, if that feels like a better pace for you. And then inhaling and exhaling with the head straight. And then inhaling and exhaling with the opposite ear tipped to the opposite elbow. Just doing a bit of dynamic neck stretches, only going as far as feels good in your body, feeling stretched down the neck. And we'll do one more round like this. And then once you've come back to a nice tall seat, we'll put some movement into the wrists. And some people like to interlock the fingers, and this feels really good. Other people like to make fists and do each wrist separate. This is a space where a lot of people feel pops and clicks or movement, which is fine as long as there's no pain. If you are feeling pain, stop what you're doing, reassess, enter back in very slowly, very gently until you can identify, okay, this is not something my body likes, this is something my body likes. Great. And then we'll work our way into the upper arms and the shoulders. And if you're looking for a challenge, you can have the arms outstretched, doing little circles. This is akin to doing a little bit of weight exercise. If this feels like it's tough, you can always put the hands on the shoulders or make the circles a little bit bigger. Counterintuitively, the bigger the circle, the easier sometimes it is to keep them. And then we'll go the opposite direction as well. So again, the smaller the circles, the slower the circles, the more difficult, the bigger the circles, or you're putting the hands on the shoulders, the less difficult. And you choose what your body wants today, not what your ego wants today. Sometimes it's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to do the most rigorous thing, even though it's not the best choice for us. All right, and then we'll just shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. And then we'll come into the hips. So my favorite hip stretch is a figure 4. Let's see if we can. So I'm going to cross one ankle over the knee and just let the knee drop as much as it wants to. Okay, and then I just sit. It's pretty easy because you don't have to do anything. You just wait, and eventually the hips open. If you want a little bit of extra opening, you can press into the fleshy bit of your thigh, not directly on the knee. But I like to imagine that there's a heavy weight on the knee and it's pulling the knee down. And just by imagining that, sometimes I get a bigger stretch. If you want, you can also rotate the ankle with the opposite hand. Get a little 2-for-1. And we'll do one big breath here. Let it all go with a sigh. And then we'll switch to the other side. So crossing the opposite ankle over the opposite knee. And if that feels tough, you can always cross at the ankles. That's fine too. There's lots of ways to open the hips. And then we just sit up nice and straight and wait. You can tip forward. That sometimes can increase the sensation. Or you can imagine there's a heavy weight pulling the knee down. Or you can use the hand on the fleshy bit of the thigh. Watch the breath. Make sure you're still breathing. And if you articulated the ankle on the other side, you can use the opposite hand to do some ankle circles in one direction and the other direction. And we'll do a nice big breath here. And let it go with a sigh. Uncross the legs if they're crossed. And if you set an intention in the beginning of our practice, you can bring it back in, bring it into your heart center. Choose one very tiny action you can take to be on your way to realizing that whatever it is, bringing more light, more patience, more self-compassion into your life. Drink some water, be kind to yourself. Thanks for practicing with me today.
Thank you.